Hello, welcome to Big Talk. My name is Topsy Gimba. Big Talk is a program that comes to you at about this time where we look into issues. Today I have with me a writer, a commentator of national issues, and the person of Simon Reef. He's a journalist from Southern Kaduna. You watch him most times on television where he analyzes issues that are quite very relevant in Nigeria. Today we are analyzing or looking at the state of the nation under this administration. Of course, you've been reading newspapers, watching on television where people are really talking about forming a coalition to unseat the administration by 2027 general election. So we are trying to assess what has he really done since he came to power 2 years ago. And so with my guest in the studio, he will now put things in the right perspective for those who are watching us. It's a pleasure having you, Simon Reef.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you.
Yes, you are a person I know for some time, making commentaries on national issues, and I believe, looking at Nigeria's state of the nation, I know you will inform those who are watching us right now. What someone says state of the nation, what does it really mean, looking at Nigeria in a holistic point of view?
Well, Nigeria is passing through interesting times because some few days ago the nation was caught up with this idea of a political coalition. There is also this drive ahead of 2027. There are various groups coming together to ensure that they defeat President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, who may likely seek a re-election in 2027. Mm-hmm. So all these are making things very, very interesting. But to me, as a Nigerian, as a commentator, one would have expected that at this time, you needed governance to take root. You needed governance to continue. Because you understand that in the first year of the present administration, there was so much enmeshed in legal fireworks. And when finally the Supreme Court declared emphatically that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the rightful winner and they validated his victory at the poll, one would have said that from that time up to now, in the next 3 years, you discover that he will be doing certain things, he will be allowed to face governance. Mm-hmm. But of course, you must give it to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because when he came, there are issues he did that really did not turn out very right. Especially his declaration that fuel subsidy has been removed. Mm. It turned so many things down. Because because fuel stands to be like the lifeware to most Nigerians. To most the economy is a very key factor. Yes. When you are talking about the economy of this country. Fuel, oil is our key factor. You don't just play, you don't take any policy, you don't just say anything.
More essentially, at the time he said it, he has not even constituted
a government
alone, yes.
Of course, he has not. One would have expected him to get sworn in, go back for 2 weeks, assess things, and know how he can push forward. Mm-hmm. But immediately he made that comment, everything went skyrocketing, the prices went up. Nigerians were buying a liter of fuel at 1,200, 1,350. So, and another issue was the issue of floating the local currency, that is the naira. You don't just simply float your currency for anything, no. You have to take into cognizance certain issues that will have made it more competitive.
But Simon, I think he decided to take that decision because he believed, as a person who has been watching the goings of this country, particularly in the oil sector, where very few people take so much money away for the benefit of this country. And so he felt by the time he will come in like the way he did, the most important thing is to announce that he was actually going to remove subsidy. And when he said it, like you lightly mentioned, everything went haywire.
One thing you need to understand in this country is that there is always a cabal.
Yes.
The oil has its own cabal. We've seen Dangote coming out to say that if he had known the problem he would have encountered when he went into all this building refinery, he wouldn't have wasted his time doing it. There were people that were seated for many years. They were doing nothing. All they were doing was just collecting money in the name of subsidy. If you read the book of Bawa, the former EFCC man, he said oil subsidy is a scam. But you cannot say it's entirely a scam. There is corruption. There was corruption in the oil subsidy regime. There were people that
So that
were
subsidy they
benefiting.
were referring to, it wasn't really subsidy per se.
Yes.
But money set aside for some individuals.
Simple. Simple. Because how would you say that the country was consuming 13 million, 16 million, 25 million liters every day? Daily. Where? How? So all those are issues that say we got it wrong. Tinubu should have waited a little while, set up a committee, set up a key people to look at it before he made that pronouncement. But once he made that pronouncement, everything went haywire. And that is why the worsening living conditions went down. And I can speak with you, we're still having that problem. Every country, including United Kingdom, United States, they do pay subsidy. They subsidize, they have a sum of subsidy to the energy sector, to agricultural sector. We've had years where America will have so much harvest in agri. Instead of allowing it to go to the global market and bring a collapse in the prices, they pack some of them and throw them on the high sea. We've had that. That is to stabilize. Yes, that's to stabilize the prices of the agri product in the international market. But in Nigeria, what is the subsidy you give to ordinary farmers? Because when prices go up, you discover that farmers cannot even have access to input. They can't have access to fertilizers.
But I thought
they can have access to so many things.
Mr. Simon, but I thought the president decided to do what he did on the first time when he was being sworn in as the president-elect. I thought he wanted, by the time this subsidy is removed, like the way he did, the money that will be realized in the proceeds in terms of selling the oil, he will now use it to run the country. And I think we can see, there has been an increase for governors in terms of what they collect from the federal allocation.
Yes.
It's for them to actually, solve problems that most people in their own respective states, are facing. But I do not know whether actually that is the thing that's on ground.
Now, the greatest beneficiary of the fuel subsidies are state governors, are states. Because they are collecting money every monthly. There's more than double or quadruple what they were collecting from
before.
Now, we ask the question, what are they doing with this money? We are not saying that all the governors are not utilizing the money. No, there are most of them that have turned this money into just free money. Because I believe with the quantum of money sent to the state, if states are to effectively utilize them, definitely the living standard of the Nigerian population will have increased. But what Nigerians are more interested in is that what is happening in Abuja. We don't know, we don't ask what is happening in the various states. The electorate will have to hold governors accountable. The state houses of assembly will have to ask the governors, how are you spending this money? All those questions need to be asked. But are they asking those questions?
Not at all.
They simply sit down and say, it's terrible. Go to a rural dweller. Oh, what's the problem? Oh, it's Tinubu. I was driving down here. I asked somebody, I was just trying to enter into a conversation with the person. I said, no. Tinubu. That is not the truth. Nigeria is not all about the federal government. We have the state government. We have the local government. What are they doing? We need to interrogate them. We need to ask questions. And except you ask those questions, you cannot get anything from that.
Yeah, but look at this present administration's policies.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the tax reforms he signed into law just recently, with the hope that it will take effect by 2026. I think some of these policies that he comes up with are all geared towards making life comfortable for most Nigerians. But can you say we are on the path of really getting it? Comparing what it is today and what used to be in the past when they were in the Buhari regime?
Well, to answer that question, you have to understand, how does tax increase the living standards of the people within a political entity? If you ask that question, the other question you ask, the money so far accrued to the government, both at federal, state, and local government, how effective has it been used to the improvement of the living standard? What are the assurances that this increase in taxes you intend to get, what are the assurances that it will be deployed to the development and the growth of the nation? So there are so many questions you ask. If what we have now, you are not doing, you are not utilizing it to the benefit of all, What assurances are you giving me that even when you get the taxes in quantum of trillions of naira, how are you going to do what is expected of you? I think those are the questions we need to ask. Yes, you pay tax because you want to be identified with the government, because all citizens must exercise that right to pay their taxes. That is what makes you a citizen. But in Nigeria, what the Nigerian system has tried to do is simply to alienate citizens from government. The issue of accountability, you have to be accountable to the people. Now, I've always said this: when you outsource democratic practice to only the ruling elite, that is what you have, what you are having, as you are having now.
Is that what's obtainable now?
Obtainable, yes, because many Nigerians,
the masses are left behind.
They have outsourced it. They've outsourced democracy to the ruling elite. Nobody is okay. Allow them to do what they want to do. Allow them to do what they want to do.
Like a state capture.
It's like a state capture. Everything, you see. And I don't want to see within party lines. So, see, politicians are the same difference. Yes. I will tell you that what we suffered in the last 8 years of the Buhari administration, Tinubu came in and is trying to see what he can do. If you ask me, has he done commendably enough for me to commend him? Well, I say he has tried, but there is still more room for him to try. Because as I speak now, killings are ongoing. Communities have been attacked, right? Yeah. Criminality is ongoing. The system does not reward honesty and sincerity. For you to pass through the door, they will ask you, who is your father? Who is your mother? And this is alien to democratic rule. Because everybody should be taken as equal. Based on competence.
But Simon, do you see this administration as compared to immediate past government we have had, not just Buhari's administration, including that of Jonathan? Do you see citizens really, that the masses are in a way benefiting as compared to what used to be in the past? Take for instance the policy of providing money for any Nigerian student who actually applies for, he gets it. If it were to be in the past, I believe either my son or your child would have been successful in getting the money. If it were to be in the past, maybe they would have been meant only for children who are considered to be, whose parents or parents are on a high pedestal. So, but if you look at the present administration, they made promise already providing money to support students in tertiary institutions, and actually, if you just apply, you get it. Will you say this government is actually doing enough as compared to what used to be in the past?
Well, before I answer that question, let me tell you, in Nigeria, everybody will always tell you yesterday was better than today. When people ganged up and say, let's throw away Jonathan.
Mr. Simon, Nigerians are like Romans.
Yes.
You remember that bull Julius Caesar?
Yes.
When Brutus killed Caesar, the Romans all went out shouting, "Hail Brutus!"
Yeah.
But when Mark Antony came on the stage and addressed the same people that Brutus had an address and they were hailing him, they turned back again against Brutus, who they had earlier praised. So at any point in time, like you rightly mentioned, at any point in time, when this administration comes like the way it is, they will say the other was more better than
the previous was more better than the current one.
And that comparison makes me a little bit confused. When somebody will not tell me that this government is bad or worse than Buhari's regime, I'm taken completely aback.
Well, you cannot say that to me, because I know from where I'm coming from.
That's it.
In the last 8 years, we saw what we saw under the Buhari administration. There was so much mass killings. I read somewhere where somebody was throwing up a figure that 615 people killed in 1 month or in 1 year. I said, no, it's not true. I don't speak for the defense people. They have all their people to write. But I said, when there are truths, you should come out and stand by it. It is the business of those that are working for government to defend the government. That is not my issue. But I would say that when there is a falsehood, a deliberate falsehood, how to malign the fact.
Yes.
I, as a Nigerian, I, as a journalist, I, as a commentator, I think I have the moral right to say, no, that is not true. Where I'm coming from, there was a single day, a community was killed, 150 people were killed.
In a single day?
In a single day. What happened? Nothing happened. Are we experiencing it now? No. But does that mean that I am less interested in what is happening in Benue and Plateau. I'm interested. There is no reason for one Nigerian to be killed. There is no reason to allow one Nigerian to be killed by this terror group, by these men from the caves. We don't need them. But the only people, the only force that can stop them is the government. And that is why I keep on hammering. You've been talking of a community policing. You've been talking of state policing. You're talking of hunters. You're talking of forest guards. Where are they? Where are they? Do we keep on harping and saying we are going to do this, we are going to do this, and there's nothing on ground? I was happy when they said they brought out about 8,000 special force on kidnapping, on bandit, or whatever.
As it is now?
As it is now, they say they have passed, they went for a certain training. Now the question I ask, where are they? When are they working? But again,
was it of recent?
It's of recent, just about 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
About 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
And I asked the question, you cannot secure communities without involving the members of that community. Because they are the only one that know where the forest is. They are the only one that can negotiate all the costs to get to know where these bandits are hiding. So why are you not involving the communities?
I just went through one publication, I think online or so, where they said in Plateau, over 70 vigilante groups were killed. I think it should be yesterday or so.
Yeah.
Did you see that story?
No, I didn't. I'm yet to see the story.
Okay, but something
but again,
that is trending.
Yes, but let me tell you, we have so much bloodshed going on in this country. See, any nation that is not secure, you can't call that a nation.
So are you not saying this administration is doing less in securing the lives of Nigerians?
No, they are trying in some places, but now we've had resurgence of insecurity. Where? Particularly in Benue, in Plateau, they are there. Then you go to Kebbi, they are also there. You go to Katsina, they are also there. So it doesn't tell you it's about one ethnic agenda or religious agenda. No. It's for Nigerians to come up and say that, no, this thing must stop. And let me tell you, even if we remove Tinubu today, that won't stop insecurity. Because it is now becoming a strategy used by a nebulous political force to ensure that they get what they get from the system. And that is the truth. I ask this question. You said you are going to get 49 jets. You want 49 jets. What do you need it for? The billions of dollars you use to buy those jets. Why not strengthen the internal security mechanism in the nation? Why not empower communities under attack?
Is that like Buhari that bought this Tucano?
The Tucano, okay, what has come out of that?
Billions of money.
And when these jets were used, we have about mistaken bombings.
I remember
they were bombing people in some communities that were supposed to be bombed.
I remember Nigerians were jubilated, particularly the National Assembly, when that news came on board. Yes. That what do we call it? Tucano jets were purchased by this administration. It never went billions and billions of naira. Yes. Till today, I don't know where they are and whether they are taking off to go to any war zone in Nigeria.
And when I think it was the Air Force Chief of Staff, CAS, that said they were expecting about 49 jets. Are we at war?
Not at all.
We are not at war. We are only at war with people that are threatening the corporate existence of our nation.
Yeah.
We know them.
So right? in a way, are you saying that this administration, what can it really do to ensure that, because we are looking at the state of the nation, and until some of those issues are fundamentally addressed, it's very clear that indeed we might not get it going forward, because as insecurity rears its ugly head, it will expand far more than you think they are containing it. Yeah. And that means going forward we are likely going to be victims. And so what do you expect this government to do to ensure, until what security is well taken care of, economy might not grow? Because farmers who are supposed to access their farmlands cannot access those farmlands, and then that creates hunger in the country. And we are beginning to see that. So are you saying that this government needs to do more?
This government needs to do more, and the most important thing they need to do is to involve communities under attack. You cannot secure the communities without their involvement. It is very clear and very obvious that the security forces don't have enough boots on the ground. So all we need to do is to have increased amongst security agencies, intelligence gathering, sharing intelligence report, so that they will come out and stop these needless killings. I wonder, how do you have a nation where people simply walk in, kill your citizen, and they simply go away without being apprehended. And all you hear at the end of the day, government will say, oh, these people will not go away. And they go away. And the next time again, you report. Paper say, 20 killed, this one, bandit, gunmen, this. It shows that there is an internal. In 2018, said, hey, Nigeria, rise up. Because these people will kill you one by one.
How can we rise up?
Fine.
Somebody who struggles to feed himself.
Exactly.
And he has so many children. So how will you rise up?
I was thinking about
rising up from the ashes?
Exactly. Somebody was saying that poverty has been weaponized. Poverty has been weaponized since it's not today they started doing it. But again, for us, we need to situate those people that are involved in weaponizing poverty. It's not evil. We run a system that is evil. But
I thought, Sam, I think at a point when Buhari was a government, foreign countries named some individuals, or they were arrested in some countries who were said or allegedly said to be sponsors of this insecurity in this country. We never had any name mentioned, or either any one person or two persons detained till today. And again, you look at during Buhari's administration, we had repentant Boko Haram, who they said they have repented from their evil deeds, and then by the time they de-radicalize them, they now recruited them into the Nigerian army. Is that the best way to go about?
That was not the best way. You shouldn't have. You cannot be a member of a terror group, and you come up, you have repented, and
what the war is, the
terror is still ongoing. You understand?
Yeah.
We've seen video clips of soldiers coming that they have been infiltrated. You ask yourself, as we speak now, go to Borno. Boko Haram is on one side, the military is on the other side. On one side there is a roadblock manned by the Nigerian army. On the other side there is also a roadblock that is manned by Boko Haram. So who is telling what? Who is saying what? Do you understand?
Yeah.
Can we allow a body that has sworn to obliterate us as a nation exist if we do not turn to a particular faith? We've seen it. But what has happened? Buhari, with all he wore, when he came in 2015, he did a bracado. We're gonna deal with this thing, and he was in Zamfara, and he wore one old general clothes. That was the end. That was the last action we saw of him. Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
More like a drama.
More like a drama. It was more like a drama. There was nothing much. So at the end of the day, nothing happened, and we are still where we are. But I can also tell you, we have improved a little bit.
This time around?
Yes, this time around, whether you like it or not. Yes, I agree that what is happening in Benue, in Plateau, in Kebbi is unjustifiable. What's happening in Katsina, they are still killing. Supposed to be condemned. It's an act that must be condemned.
But recently, I remember when Vice President paid a visit to Kaduna, that's Shetima.
Yes.
Speaking through the Shetima, the president said that the military has his own backing, and they should go all out to ensure that whoever is considered to be a terrorist should be killed.
Yes.
Now, if the president gives that order, why are we still at this point?
Fine. Before the president gave that order, you go to where they are killing, they have been attacked. There are military people there. You ask them, why did they allow this? They said, no. They didn't get any order. There was no order given to us.
Even though they will be around that place?
Even though they will be around that place, yes. And I think the Chief of Defense Staff, CG Musa, penultimate week, last week or so, came to tell the army, said, you don't need any order. Once you see any threat, you are to go there and do. And that is what is happening in Borno. They will tell you they didn't give an order. In the height of kidnapping, it was security forces that would tell those people they were going to pay the ransom. Follow this road. This is where you follow. Is it not shocking? So, like these people, we are
aided. Will direct those who are carrying the ransom.
They will direct the ransom, yes. The money, yes. They will direct them. We all know all those things now. But you see, The issue of kidnapping, banditry has been turned into an oil block for some people. Those people that are even doing the real banditry and killing, how much do they give them at the end of the day? Because there are some laws that are controlling them. That is why somebody said there are money they put in bullion vans to go and collect. I mean, a bullion van will go to the place. They will count the money, make sure that 1 naira is not
missing.
If 1 naira is missing, you must hold that 1 naira. So, oh, this is it, and pay. You have to pay complete. The bullion van take the money and disappear. We have security. What are they doing? So you cannot completely rule out a sort of a complicity from the security, from rural.
Okay, now let's look at the state of the nation and look at the function of the National Assembly.
Yeah.
To ensure that it complements what the executive is really doing. To what extent can you say National Assembly is doing a lot? If all of these issues you have just listed, I call them litany of challenges Nigeria is going through as a nation. To what extent can you now say that National Assembly, not talk about the judiciary, these institutions are really helping the executive to really actually achieve its desired results before 2027 election?
I'm sorry to shock you. We don't even have a National Assembly. The people we have in National Assembly are just for themselves. They strategize on how they will come back in 2027. In a democracy, the true representative of the people is the National Assembly. Let me ask you a question. Since the inauguration of this unbroken democracy on May 29, 1999, have you seen a strong National Assembly that has summoned the president to come and give us an account, a State of the Union address? We embraced a Baba.
But he did that to some extent June 12th.
No, that was the first time.
The first time he
tried. The first time.
He listed some of his achievements.
Yes, those are the first time, and that's why I welcome it. I wrote an article on the back page of the Leadership Newspaper where I welcome that, because in the U.S., the American president must appear before the joint session of Congress and address the lawmakers and tell them what he has achieved within this year. This is his
the promises they made, whether or not he's succeeding in
them.
I
think President Tinubu tried when on June 12th we went, and at least he presented what, and that's why I was so sure when they say you should do a national broadcast. I said, for what? If you are going to address the joint
sitting,
what national front? You just go there, address Nigeria from that very point. I was so happy. You see, one thing with Tinubu is that he's somebody that can also listen in a tone. I mean, no, you just give it to him. That's that. So, as for the National Assembly, if they are doing their job, things will not have been the same as we are experiencing. Most National Assembly, where they are simply interested, how do they get their contract? How do they make their money? How do they strategize for the next election that is to come?
You mean with this number of bills they have so far passed?
Bills.
That eventually sign into law?
What are the bills?
Talk about the tax reforms. Talk about institutions. Talk about institutions that were newly created in most communities in Nigeria by this administration.
Okay, if you create all those bills, in your oversight function, how many times have you called either ministers or heads of agencies to come and give you an account? You and I know we are journalists. When that budget is set, there was what they call budget padding. It's still continuing. It hasn't stopped. Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but padding.
If we are going to talk.
Usually
budget padding is part of the game.
Usually budget is proposed by the presidency, forwards it to National Assembly. The National, its own duty is to look into it, but the law does not really stop National Assembly to reduce what has been proposed by the executive, or either to add. So whenever they add, Nigerians also perceive as if they have padded the budget. But they have the constitutional back law. There's legal framework backing them that they can add or reduce.
Yeah.
So at what point will you not say it's padding? To what extent? When they have that law. For instance, if they realize that more universities have been created within a particular period of time, like the way this administration has so far done, or still even doing, money must be jacked up by supplementary budget to ensure that they solve some of these problems. Otherwise, those universities or institutions or tertiary institutions will not be funded at a point. Meanwhile, they will be admitting students very shortly. But most Nigerians often assume, as much as National Assembly, if president sends 10,000 naira and then 12 is added, it's padding.
Well,
I'm not holding fault to them anyway.
No, I understand.
Yes.
See, I cover the National Assembly for some reason.
I know.
I was in Abuja
I know.
since 1999. And I know certain things in the course of doing my job.
Right.
There was one of these NDLEA DG, I think he's Fulani, somebody Fulani. He's late now, I mean, I don't know whether he's late now.
Okay.
Fulani was the DG.
Yes.
He came to defend his budget then. They asked him, well, how to add money for somebody. He said, no. Is it part of the rules? He said, I don't know, you have to just keep that money. He said, no, he wasn't going to do it.
Okay. National Assembly.
Yes, National Assembly, it happened. It happened. The man said he wasn't going to do it. See, if you know the rot that is ongoing, a minister of the Federal Republic told me in 2007 that if we know what is going on, we will lose hope. But let's continue to hope, even against hope. That is the truth. So when you talk about the National Assembly, those are to be the first representative of the people. When you go to the US, a congressman is more dignified, is more respected than a minister. But in Nigeria, where there's a minister and there's a senator, forget the senator. It's the senator that will leave his office and go and lobby for a contract and lobby for things.
From the minister?
Yes. Do you understand?
I do. They
deviate from their job of doing their job. Their job is to pass law for the good governance of the country.
And the oversight as well.
And the oversight function. This oversight they do, they are not doing oversight. When they write to you, they want to come and do oversight, they are only saying you keep our own for us. I am telling you that is what happens.
More essentially, when the ministry brings buses to carry them from the complex to do oversight. So money, whoever that is in law or philosophically, whoever receives is made humble.
It's made humble.
Yes.
And who pays the piper dictates the tune. So when you talk of National Assembly, in most of the state houses of assembly are extension of the governor of the governor's palace. I mean the palace.
Yeah.
If they want to do something, they will call the speaker. Hey, speaker, come here. Do this. This is what we want to do. He signed it, everything is all right. Because the speakers are the boys of the governors. That's the truth. So, if you come to the National Assembly, it was Ahmed who was saying, anything that Buhari brings, he will just sign.
That's Lawan.
He said, anything Buhari brings, he will just sign.
Almost signing before he could arrive.
Of course. No. You understand? So those are things. Are there people now you can say we should anchor our faith on them? National Assembly, all they go there is to make money. If at the end of 4-year tenure you don't have 5 billion,
but I think the electorate they have the power to decide who becomes what.
Hey,
but what stops us really? You enjoying
you said it now. You said it. You said that weapons of poverty have been unleashed
on us.
Everybody is trying to see if you can go and get what you can get and survive. See, we are all conspiring to bring down this country. We are all conspiring to bring down this country. By what? By not saying it as it is. By not insisting on the right thing. But again, I will let you know that some of us will never lose complete faith in Tinubu. We've seen there is still certain things he is doing.
Yeah.
That is right. And you must give it to him. And I don't give a damn. People say, Tinubu. You say, hey, Tinubu. I have never seen Tinubu. I've never met him. Yeah. I don't have anything to do with him. Yeah. I look at it and I assess based on what he does. This is somebody for the first time when they say Muslims everywhere went haywire. At the end of the day, after 2 years, they say Tinubu has discriminated against Muslims. He has given 62% of the appointment to Christians. And Tinubu himself said it. He said the problem with Nigeria is ethnicity and religion. Whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Christian, it doesn't mean. Go and do the job.
Just do the job.
Are they doing the job? No. If they are doing the job, fine. But when you want to whip up sentiment, you are from the same zone that I come from.
Yeah.
Buhari was president, a Muslim. What was that? His name? Osebanjo was a pastor. So you had Muslim, Christian. What came to our zone?
Nothing.
Nothing. Now we woke up one morning and said it's Muslim ticket. And we that never had any federal establishment. There was no one single block from the federal government in Kaduna South to say this is from South, this is from federal government. We never had it. And El-Rufai ensured that we were reduced to political nothingness. And we were sitting down one day, Muslim ticket came. We had a Federal University of Applied Sciences. Mm-hmm. Our children that want to go to Zaria, go to any place, say, hey, go away. We will not give you admission. They cannot apply there and read. In 1987, I applied to Bayero University, Kano, to read mass communication. I was told bluntly that I was from the wrong location. And they refused giving me admission. Did that stop me from being a journalist?
At all?
No. Your destiny. God will always make a way for you to find your destiny.
And imagine converting Kafachan General Hospital to
converting the Kafachan, making the Federal Medical Center. Was it done under Christian Muslim?
Not at all.
It is Muslim. I tell people, let it be Ladan, Imam.
You are not bothered.
I'm not bothered as far as I'm concerned. Don't tell me, give everybody a sense of...
So why
I don't give a damn about those things. Please.
Simon, why this regrouping of these hyenas, hyenas, I mean?
Yes.
Where are they? These are people who are now calling themselves members of the coalition. If that is what you are saying is correct, and most communities are benefiting in this present administration,
yeah.
Well, what has this administration done wrong that some people are putting themselves together to fight it until it is removed?
We have seen what Rotimi Amechi said. He said he is hungry. Oh, Nigerians are hungry.
He is hungry, not even Nigerians.
He said he is hungry. So somebody that has been in government since 1999 to 2023.
Being a governor and be studying law in London.
Yes. Do you understand?
I do.
He tells you that he is hungry. Then, what do you need to ask? It was El-Rufai. They sold him a kind of an impression that they are going to make him minister of power. And they asked him, how are you going to treat this, that? He said, oh, at the end of the day, he was thrown out. See, El-Rufai should not be the face of the coalition.
But is he in that coalition?
For now, he is the person that seems
to be driving the force.
He is somebody that will come and tell people that he wants to remove the evil that he brought to Nigeria. What were his footprints?
That's the semantics.
You understand? Yes. What were his footprints of governance in Kaduna from 2015 to 2023? You ask that question. See, I like the idea of a coalition because we need opposition. A democracy without an opposition is under threat.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
But
I can also tell you...
Because APC had to call for a meeting.
Yes.
When they realized the opposition is becoming
Yes, we need
stronger.
that. Yes, we need that opposition.
And I read somewhere today, I think, closely to about 14 governors are on the verge of leaving APC.
See, all this story of this person is leaving APC, that one is leaving APC, there is propaganda, there are so many things that is happening. Until I see them leave, then I will believe them. But for now, we have more of propaganda.
This so-called politician that can be seen as hyenas or tigers, grouping themselves. Do you feel they are quite genuine in their perspective to selling their views to Nigerians that truly this government is bad and what they are saying is correct? Because I am of the opinion, probably because some of them, they are no longer in government, and they have been in government for a very long time, but now they have been sidelined.
Yeah.
And they feel to get back is to attack this administration, calling this administration clueless, all manners of names that you couldn't have imagined.
Jonathan was described as clueless. It was after 2 years of Buhari administration we discovered that he was the clueful one. Well, Buhari was the clueless one. So when people the same thing. So when people tell you all this story, is to justify it, to swing the emotions of people. I think somebody said, any man who going about telling the people that they are not governed the way they ought to be governed shall never lack attentive hearers. Yes. It's easy for you to say that. Now, I love the whole idea of coalition. But what is the motive? The motive is power grab. There is nothing they are bringing on the table, because these are people that have been on the table of power. What did they bring? What is it that they brought?
They were there for 8 years
They
or
were
more.
there for 8 years or more.
Some of them more.
Some of them are more. So what did they bring? And let me tell you, you don't need to know. Let's wait until the time for presidential candidate who will become the presidential candidate of that coalition. Let's wait for that time. That is when you will know that these people are just out for themselves and nothing but themselves.
But if you take a closer look to the group, those in that particular room, anybody that is made to become the flag bearer, whatever it might be called, it's like already, it's a coming together of people who are just out to just get power, or like you say, power grab. But they don't have Nigerians in their mind or in their heart. That's the way I see it. If you just have to have a closer look into that particular room where they are gathering.
Now, beyond that, if Atiku emerges as the candidate of the ADC, will Peter Obi agree?
To be his running mate.
To be his running mate?
He will not.
If Obi becomes the presidential candidate, will Atiku agree?
At all. So that's a part of it.
And when you look at it, Atiku seems to have full grasp of the coalition.
Yeah.
It seems to be ahead.
Yeah.
But on the popularity rating, Obi is far ahead. Because they just say, well, he's from the south. Because the presidency should reside in the south. We should allow them to reside in the south for the next 8 years. Obi has come up to say he will do only 4 years.
4 years.
That is politics to me. Atiku say, if you give it to me, it's 4 years. It's politics. Nigeria is just like having a good time with a beautiful lady of Asura. They give you 4 years. After 4 years, they will go and test your popularity. Now, for someone who is in that presidency for 4 years, he's surrounded by the military, he's surrounded by every palace that you think he has. Money.
Honestly.
It's not easy for you to simply dislodge him. We do not have people like Jonathan anymore. Jonathan will tell you that my ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. Can we have somebody like that? Do you understand?
I do.
So there are issues, you see, because all this propaganda will continue to be writing reports, we see media reports, some are influenced, some are swing towards certain things. But at the end of the day, the question is asked, who emerges? And the day that a presidential candidate will emerge, and all those people in coalition will accept, then I will know that there will be a serious battle ahead for the APC. For now, the APC still have the additional ACs in their hands. Because if you have power,
yes, they have.
politicians are just for selfish interest. You can buy politicians off the shelf.
But if you discuss this idea with most Nigerians, they will now refer you to Jonathan. That Jonathan was on sea when he was removed. So they feel the present administration, the person occupying the seat, Tinubu, that is likely going to be defeated like the way they did to Jonathan, that kind of a thing, and in 2015. So if you compare Jonathan and if you compare Tinubu and Jonathan, do you see their political ideology or having political weight to be almost the same? Or either the time, is it the same? That's the question I often ask.
No. Jonathan is different from Tinubu. Tinubu is not Jonathan, and Jonathan is not Tinubu.
So by implication, you are saying to remove Tinubu,
to remove Tinubu
wouldn't be easy.
It was even the vice president, the running mate of Peter Obi, that said it in an interview. He said, to remove Tinubu, you have to do the unthinkable. So you have to do
the unthinkable.
Because this is a man that is at home with all the nuances of politics in Nigeria. He's been there for quite a while. Since 1999, he's been a governor. Other people have fizzled out.
Even an activist at a point.
Yeah, he was an activist, was everything. He was even an expert in coalition. He led protests, and he tells you that the presidency has been his lifelong ambition. So you mean that somebody will just sit down?
Not at all.
At yesterday, there was a report I read that there are plans by federal government to infiltrate ADC. How? Because they know that whether it is true or not true, but I can tell you, for you to remove Tinubu, just like that is said, you have to do the unthinkable. You have to strategize. If you don't strategize, make all your noise. They went to SDP. They say, hey, SDP. By the time they move in there, even the chairman of SDP is not.
Yes, I was to ask you this question. Yes, I said, is it because some of them showed interest in seeking for recognition by using SDP?
Yeah.
Only at the end of the day that Alhaji Shehu Musa Gabam has been allegedly mismanaged the fund meant for the party, and so today he's being investigated. By about a 5-man committee have been constituted, and in 14 days the findings will be turned in for the Central Working Committee, National Working Committee to look into it. Yes. Is it because that some of them visited the party and indicated interest of really becoming members of the party that eventually they created that particular situation, and now the man is out of the party, out of the government, out of the leadership?
You know, it is very easy for one to conclude that it was the hand of Esau
with the voice of Jacob.
It's very, very easy for you to conclude that. But if you look at the nature of Nigerian politics, it's just a platform for improving your life as a politician. Get what you want to get. If it means that betray somebody, do it. As long as you have the money, you will be here. But that's also to tell you that the road ahead for the coalition
will be bumpy.
It will be bumpy and will be very, very rough. There are so many curves ahead that it will.
They might hit the rocks.
Exactly. So I think those are the issues. And Nigeria should also not view that politics in Nigeria is all about self. And when it's about self, anything can happen. Yes. So
in a way, you are saying this administration is actually on course.
I will tell you
to a certain degree.
To a certain degree. Yes. I've always said, after what we passed through under the Buhari administration, I said if there's any man, if there's any northerner, if there's any presidential candidate that can help curb insecurity, that person should come from the south. Because we've seen how insecurity has been managed under a northern presidency. If you need somebody that can really tackle that, you need a southerner. And in the last 2 years, when he changed the
service chiefs,
at least, we saw changes. But just in less than 1 year ago, we see a spike in that. We see a spike in all this.
Why is it so?
It is so because
they are using it, some politicians or some highly placed cities in this country are using it as a bargaining chip.
They are using it as a bargaining chip, and they are also using it to tell the Nigerians that this man has not performed. Because like I tell them,
creating a feeling in the minds of the electorate.
In the mind of the electorate, oh, this man has not performed. And the truth of the matter is that, if I even asked, how many people have not paid ransom as well as you are a northerner? Maybe your relative, maybe the friend of your relative.
Virtually every home.
How much of billions are we giving to these terror groups? How much of it? And then, when we tell them, allow communities to defend themselves, you said no. They say, allow the community to go for self-defense. You said no. But it's easier for you to allow them to be killed. People storm into their homes where they are sleeping at night, and tomorrow you say it's a communal clash. How? You say it's farmer headers clash. That is a wrong narrative. It's a wrong narrative. That is the truth.
Well, really, I'm seriously feeling a little bit, listening to some of these analyses you are making, I quite appreciate to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So, as time is gradually coming to an end, what basically will you say to Nigerians to keep having faith in this administration, despite the fact that people who see all are beginning to point out some of the bad things this administration is doing that they need to be straightened?
No, I wouldn't ask people to have faith in this administration. I'll tell you to have faith in Nigeria. We have all the potentials in this country. All we need to do is for the National Assembly that I told you are not doing their job, to call the presidency, to do anything that is wrong, say, hey, you are not doing this thing, do it right.
Okay.
That is just it.
Okay.
Because this country is a lovely country. There's nothing wrong with Nigeria. The only thing wrong with Nigeria is the leadership structure, is the system. The system is evil, it's bad.
Wow.
You need to throw it away. You need to start something new. This idea of bringing in ethnic, religious, and some people feel that they have to enthrone their ethnic superiority over others is wrong. Okay. You cannot get it in the nation. If you think you continue to do it, you may survive with me, but my children that are coming after, the generation that will come after, they will rebel against it. Do you understand?
I do.
When Nigerians get power, what do? They carry their family out to Canada, abroad. They do everything, and that is the end. Okay. And when they die, they want to be buried in Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
So is Nigeria now a cemetery?
A cemetery.
You make Nigeria as a farmhouse.
Wow.
Where you go and harvest, and then you take it out.
And then you come back dead.
Yes, because Nigeria, ordinarily, the leadership in Nigeria, the leadership structure is oppressive.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I do.
And we're not just talking about politicians. We have even said that the bureaucratic institution is wrong. The bureaucracy is also a problem because it is enmeshed in corruption.
All right.
That corruption is there. So except you extricate all those monsters.
I know you are a writer.
Yes.
You are a commentator.
Yeah.
I watch you on various platforms.
Yeah.
I know if given more time to talk, we will ever be there to say much about this administration and other past governments.
Yes.
I appreciate you greatly.
Thank you very much.
Let me feel you, sir.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I can imagine how I stampeded you to be here, but you honored the invitation.
Yeah.
That one I consider it very great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be doing that some other time with you.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's how far we can go on Big Talk. My name is Topsy Gimba. Bye-bye. See you again.